They went to this guy at the Wickham ground.
Adams Park.
No,
every ground. Give me another, go. So then, Roots Hall.
Port Vale.
Vale Park.
Rochdale.
Spotlands.
Really? This is your superpower?
I didn't know I had it. I didn't know that was right. Don't go anymore. No, I'll stop there.
Cheltenham.
Warden Road.
Okay, we'll go some easy ones and then...
Okay.
Crystal Palace.
Selhurst Park.
Bradford City.
It used to be Valley Parade. I don't know if it still is.
It is Valley Parade. Burnley, easy one.
Turfmoor, yeah.
Tranmere Rovers.
Frenton Park.
Prenton Park.
Sorry,
yeah. Bristol Rovers.
I bet they got Memorial Ground there instead of stadium. A lot of them used to.
They've got stadium.
Yeah.
Walsall.
Bescott.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to episode 29 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and Mr. Meandering Monologue himself, Mark.
Okay. Is that purporting to the future or referring to the past? Just generally.
all the time. It's
Okay.
a chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sport, conspiracy and fire safety, which we might come back to.
Okay.
I'm looking at you because I think there might be a bit of a bookmark there. We're all work in progress and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, then our work here is done. If you haven't already subscribed to us, then please do.
Yeah.
It's a great way of ensuring this podcast lands on your phone and computer in a timely fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we don't ask for much. Well, Mark asks for loads, but other than your time and attention, which is pretty much everything people have, isn't it? That's all anyone has, time and attention. But if you can leave us a 5-star review, we can, you could leave us a 4, but that'd just be cruel.
The algorithms don't work with 4, do they?
If you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, then we will be truly delighted.
We will. And can I just point one thing out, is that, and I don't think we're going to talk about this today because I'll tell you why in a minute, but today's the day where Spotify send out all the stats.
Quite apt, actually.
It is
what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it's as if they knew. But I'll read something out later to say why I'm not going to talk about the Spotify
Thanks for
stats. Yeah, this is what you could have won. No, it's a bit like dreams, isn't it? It's one of those things like, let me tell you about how many minutes I listened to and stuff like that. But
what's that got to do with dreams?
Nobody wants to hear other people's dreams.
Right.
And it's the same with Spotify
Don't
stats.
say no one wants to hear about our favourite songs because it's
No,
the entire episode.
No, it's two different things. You don't want to hear that I was in the top 2% of blah, blah, blah. The point I'm going to make is that...
You get me wrong every time, don't you?
The point I'm going to make is that they listed the top 5 podcasts I'd listened to. Yeah. We came in at number 5. But I recognised that on one podcast, which I listened to 9 times in a day, that was my binge record. No, not us. Also not us. I still haven't subscribed, and I wanted to subscribe because...
so tight.
But I haven't even emailed to say thank you for everything they did to help me in lockdown. And we're asking other people. That's the point I'm making, and I haven't done it myself.
Basically, don't be like Mark.
Yes.
Follow us and send us an email.
Be less Mark.
We've got a packed episode. You're in your hat.
Yeah. New hat.
I reckon there might be hopefully a link with you wearing a hat and it being a good podcast.
I think this is going to be a cracking podcast. Good. I'm genuinely excited.
I am as well.
Yeah.
You don't look it, to be fair, but inside.
Inside, I'm smiling. It's called a half smile. We've just done it in mindfulness.
Have you? I wasn't sure whether to bring up the mindfulness thing you've just done because you've come in going, I've been a mountain this evening. Do you want to tell everyone?
Not just a mountain, the best mountain in the group.
The highest mountain in the group.
Yeah. Yeah, looking on Zoom, when I was, everyone else had their eyes shut, so I had a peeky look. I excelled.
I'm the biggest mountain in the world.
Look at me, Mum. I'm best at something again.
So the last episode, this episode, probably it feels like we're changing things up a little bit, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're recording. It's Wednesday, is it? It's Wednesday evening, isn't it?
Well, almost night.
It is night.
Mm.
When does day become night?
Well, you said evening. I think evening finishes just after EastEnders.
Right, is that official?
Mm.
Okay, not when it gets dark. It just when EastEnders. It's always been about EastEnders, even when EastEnders didn't exist. So I don't think we talked about last time, but we're recording separately rather than back to back.
Yeah.
see if it gives us, because we like to refine and tweak and polish, don't we?
And we live on the edge.
Yeah. Don't we just?
Although I brought my laptop in after your warning last week.
Oh, you have, yeah. Well, it is dark. And
nighttime in Bradley Stoke.
Don't tell anyone where I live. I had to beat that out. You told everyone you lived in Frenchay on the last one.
Did you beep that out?
No. It's a big place, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know, people can track people these days, can't they?
Yeah.
To within a half a metre.
Mm.
Not that anyone's going to stalk me. So in this episode, we have warm up and stretch. I've got apologies and bookmarks, and not the other way around. There's a reason why we're doing apologies first.
Mm-hmm.
Work-life ballet, we're going to dive into our musical musings.
Yeah, but not be self-indulgent.
Well, this is what I was going to say.
We're just talking about everything we like.
Well, at the end of the last one, it's not going to be self-indulgent, is it? And I was like, no. And afterwards, I just thought, of course it is.
Yeah.
What is this? It's me and you speaking into a microphone. How could it be anything other than self-indulgent? What else are we going to talk about?
One thing I'm keen about today, which I think we failed a little bit, we jointly failed the last one, is the takeaways.
Yes.
And I think I want to give...
We didn't have a takeaway while we're doing this. If there was no eating on the...
No, I just like to, just one or two things around music, I think, linking with the mental health bit. I think there's some very important things. Don't want to lose those in sort of a morass of self-indulgent... there.
Just about that lovely sentence needed, isn't it?
You can edit that.
I'm not going to. Every time you say just edit that, I don't.
No,
have you noticed that?
You could have just...
You can actually hear yourself going, you can just edit that.
You're going to admit to your editing.
Show your face.
Yeah. All right, come on then, move on.
Yeah, we are transparent and open, aren't we, if anything?
Go on then, share with...
No, just, there's a slight embellishment on the last episode, but it was only for...
Me laughing at one of your statements.
Right.
When I didn't actually hear it and wasn't in the room.
Moving on. So in Brain Food, we're going to do music and moods and how music messes with our bodies and minds. Or something. Oh, as it's late, I'm feeling surprisingly perky.
Yeah, it's going to be a vibrant pod.
So how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mindfulness course was interesting.
They sound like they can go one of two ways. Would I be right? Or is it a different course?
It's a different course. I'm on a lot of courses.
Yeah, but you have more courses than anyone.
Yeah, multiple courses. This is less intense, this one, and it's more about, I think, coping strategies in some ways. And being a mountain was one of them, and it worked. So.
Good. Is that what your hat is? Your snowy peak?
Yeah, I was getting into roll.
It's good. So we've been doing this 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Feels a lot long. It feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, it does feel like 3 months.
And on the subject of Spotify, because they remind us about a few things. However, they got the numbers wrong.
Badly
today,
wrong. Really
wrong. So, anyone who is on Spotify probably would have got this alert today and all the stats, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So, probably know what we're talking about. But it said we had, I can't remember how many.
5 countries?
Yeah, we've got more than that.
Yeah.
We laughed in its face, didn't we? We laugh at 5 countries, got a lot more than that. But I worked out actually how many minutes we have put out there in terms of content, and it's 1,542 minutes.
Of gold.
Yeah.
As Spotify said.
Yeah. Spotify, yeah. 5-star. 25.7 hours of content and about 13 days of editing. But let's just gloss over that.
And 4 jokes. Apologies first. Yeah.
You were listening. Thanks.
Yeah. We were doing listening.
It's taken about 20 minutes, this opening bit. It should take 30 seconds. Sorry, go on.
We were doing listening today. We were doing mindful listening, where you don't speak. The other person speaks for 3 minutes and you just...
We just listen to them rather than interrupt.
Listen. Yeah.
It must have been a nightmare for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done it.
I did about 17 seconds. I said, I'll tell you what you should have done. Stupid. Yeah. Again, I won. I was quickest to interrupt.
In the last episode, I said that the dollar has always been important. It was a statement. I wasn't expecting quite the answer you gave me.
Okay.
In terms of business, we're talking about business.
Yeah.
To which you replied, and I quote, "No, bollocks." And then you went into your bit about, I presume, why you suddenly blurted out bollocks.
The altruism was sometimes, yeah. Was a fact.
Before we then talked about altruism.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to apologise, and I don't think you need to apologise. This is the irony of this episode's apologies section.
Okay.
I don't think we need to apologise as much as we do. I think we all do it far too much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In her book, The Power of an Apology, psychotherapist Beverly Engel says over-apologising isn't so different from over-complimenting. You may think you're displaying yourself as a nice and caring person, but you're actually sending the message that you lack confidence and are ineffectual.
Okay.
Pretty brutal, right?
Sorry to hear that.
It can even give a certain kind of person permission to treat you poorly or even abuse you, warns Engel. Which, if you think about it, it's quite a, it can be quite a powerful thing, depending on which end of the apology you're on, whether you're giving it or whether you're receiving it. It lessens the impact of future apologies. So if you say, I'm sorry for every little thing now, your apologies will carry less weight later on for situations that really warrant a sincere apology.
Yeah. No, that makes
Number
sense.
3, it's annoying.
Yeah.
We've all been around someone who constantly apologizes. We understand they're only trying to be nice, but can often feel exhausting and irritating at the same time. That's harsh, isn't it?
It is harsh, but I'm getting the point. No, seriously.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't making a point. The fact we have apologies in here actually made me think, why do we have apologies? Yeah. Yeah,
it's almost like it's a precursor for getting things wrong, isn't it? It's almost saying,
like we're scared to get things
it's almost
wrong.
like the sort of confessional, isn't it? We're going to start up and go, and what did I say last week? I got the numbers wrong in Dragon's Den. It's like the world kept revolving.
I'm not saying we should take apologies out. I think we should just be more mindful of maybe how we use them in the context.
Good point. Well made.
I haven't finished.
Oh.
No,
sorry, listeners, for it being so long.
I finished. No, I won't bang on. I think we get the message, right?
Yeah.
Bourneville. We established that I spent a year there at my art and design course. You've been there once trying to find a pub. It says here, which I thought was good, Bourneville is a model village on the southwest side of Birmingham. And I thought, I'm pretty sure it's a full-size village. And not, but I think they mean it's a good example
of. It's not Legoland. Yeah.
It's founded by the Quaker Cadbury family for its employees and best known for its connections with chocolate, including a dark chocolate bar branded Bourneville. Historically in northern Worcestershire, which I didn't know, it is also a ward within the council constituency of Selly Oak, home of the Bull Tea, which is probably the one for another day. Yeah. And the Curry Mile.
Yes. Right. Yes. And, we'll
say that for another day. Oak, I was like, oh God, we can talk about curry.
No, I've got a Selly Oak story, that's all.
Go for it.
No, we'll do it for next
Okay.
I've got to shut up.
Research by the Joseph Rantry Foundation in 2003 found it was one of the nicest places in Britain to live. We mentioned Quakers. It'd been...
My mum was Quaker.
She? Also called Friends. Belonged to a historically Christian denomination known formerly as the Religious Society of Friends. Or Friends Church. Quaker movements are generally united by the belief in the ability that each human is able to experientially access the light within, or that of God in everyone. Yeah. Salvador Dali's Ocelot. The cat, which I put on Instagram.
Yes, nice picture.
To see was
great picture.
A Colombian ocelot called Babu. Babu's a cool name. The ocelot, Latin name Lepardus pardalis, is also known as the dwarf leopard or McKenney's wildcat. It's a species of wildcat found predominantly in the South and Central America.
Can I don't think I've given you this full update. I've been in touch with Sainsbury's and Argos based on fur-based products. I decided I'd go and buy you one for Christmas.
It's not a surprise anymore, but thank you. That's lovely.
No, well, I gave you that book just now. That's your Christmas present.
Quite emotional. Yeah, happy.
The book that I didn't really like when I read it. So popped into Sainsbury's. Not only were the shelves bare, there was no reference to it. It's like it never existed. The little tag wasn't even there. But it was actually empty. The shelf was empty. So I thought either they're waiting for the stock, because I imagine they've had a run on them.
I imagine they would.
So I checked on my phone as I was in Sainsbury's, and Argos had one. But
wasn't that £2 more?
It was £2 more. But although I was standing next to Argos, I think I literally had to buy it online and then wait 24 hours for someone to pass it to me. I couldn't get it there and then, although I was there. So I thought, he's not worth £8 for a start. He's not worth a second journey. So I thought I could go online and order it and then pick it up one day. But I thought, firstly, I'll go online because of health and safety to find out if it was rubber or silicone.
Yes.
Because of the clean microwave debacle.
And fire safety.
Fire safety, which you've alluded to.
Yes.
So what I decided to do was to take on a nom de plume.
What's that?
I don't know, I've used it. Is it like a sort of made-up name? It's obviously French, isn't it? Name of a plum. I don't know. Nom de plume. It's like a false name, I think, or like
a pen name, also called a nom de plume.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, crikey.
So I've taken on a nom de plume of Norm.
Norm.
And I read out the reviews, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
And Norm was the one that said, we bought the same kettle 7 years ago. So what I've done the same age as Norm, and instead of Kent, I've done London.
You're stealing his identity.
I have. So it's a Norm de Plume. Oh, dear. Solid gold. Anyway, so I've written to Argos on the questions of answer sections, which they promised to get back within 24 hours. And they haven't.
Oh yeah, you told me about this a couple of days ago.
Hi, is the product rubber or silicone? Thanks. They haven't responded. So what I'm now going to do is say, I put it in the clean microwave anyway, and it exploded, and see if they answer that.
Yeah.
So no answer. And that's people's lives could depend on this, but obviously Argos are just...
No, don't give a...
They don't give a...
Why don't you go on Twitter? Everyone goes on Twitter these days and outs people, don't they?
Well, maybe...
You're going to have to create a Twitter profile called Norm London.
Yeah, Norm of Kent will get in touch with me. Good, I put the kettle in the microwave, it blew up. Yeah, that's how we boil water.
I was thinking...
Fill the kettle, put it in the microwave.
Yeah, maybe that is it.
Anyway.
So I was getting worried he was using his water bottle as a kettle.
Yes. Well, he might
be.
We'll see what happens. So anyway, scrolling through reviews, 4.7. Now it was 5 because we had Norm with his kettle.
Yeah.
And if you remember,
I've obviously got a
perfect stocking filler for teenager, Thorpe.
Big stocking.
25 to 34, York.
Yeah, that's right.
So I thought, well, there's 2 5-star reviews. How the has it got to 4.7?
Were you disappointed?
I queried it. So I've looked. And that's because someone only gave it 4 stars. The third review is only given it 4 stars.
And what did they say?
I don't know why it's only 4 stars. And then I dig deeper. Heat retention, 5 out of 5.
Right.
Design, 4 out of 5. It's a hot water bottle. I haven't read this to you. So this is the heading, because you have to put in a heading for Argos reviews. It keeps me warmer than my home radiator.
Right,
number 1, don't take a home radiator into bed with you.
No.
You couldn't have written a better review. I love it. And my wife prefers hugging the beautiful bottle to me. Not now.
It's quite a depressing review.
Not now. I'm playing with the hot water bottle. Yeah, not everyone's loving the hot water bottle now.
No.
That's where we are. So I'm waiting the response, but I am going to write again tomorrow.
I'm just on the edge of my seat. Work-life ballet. Music. We've touched on music before and how important it is to us.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the same breath, we've talked about how we can often listen to music 1 minute and then another minute it'd be the last thing on earth that we want to do.
Yeah.
Which we still can't really explain or rationalize very well. Well, I know I can't. And I think we clearly have different connections to music. And I guess obviously, our different ages, life experiences. And when we train, it becomes a real theme, doesn't it? Because we're listening to music. Normally your awful playlist that I have to lift weights to.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe that's why I can't lift. Because
you like the
music.
You were all right with last couple of months, couple of weeks.
Good.
I think just going back to your 1 minute we can and 1 minute we can't, I think it's maybe worth sharing with people that I'd admitted to you probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago that I hadn't really been listening to music for probably 3, 4, 5 months. I think I've done it not on purpose, not consciously. I think it's happened in terms that or maybe the emotional aspect of music was so great.
Yeah.
That I was better ignoring it than dipping my toe into where it may lead, good or bad.
Yeah.
And then when I sort of said that I hadn't been listening, you came up with pretty much the same, didn't you? That you hadn't been actively listening as much. And someone I trained with yesterday had heard us mention that and then said he's got a couple of records on the radio, which is just sort of, musical wallpaper, but isn't listening to music in the way he did.
Yeah.
And I think this is really interesting in terms of whether it's conscious, subconscious, but that maybe music sometimes is too emotional or too emotive.
I think so. I think we're probably exactly the same, but it could be I'm listening to it today and tomorrow morning I might wake up and just not want to hear a thing.
Yeah.
Even my favourite song.
Yeah.
And there's some where you can listen to loads of stuff and then one song will just come up and it will just, and we've talked about this the other day, just transport you to a time and a place. I just wondered what your song was that did that, where you listen to it or just the first couple of bars and it just takes you to a place where you can literally, almost like you're there.
Yeah.
And you can smell and taste. And feel and remember faces and you literally picture people around you who any other time of your life you just have totally forgotten about.
Yeah.
Just wondered what your song was. Or at least, well, you've probably got a couple, but one that stands out.
No, there is one particular, and I wouldn't say it's a genre I like. It's not an artist that I've ever listened to any other of his songs. And I played it before, a couple of days ago before this podcast. And you saying taste, it took me back to the first place I lived in when I left home, which was a very emotional place for a whole number of reasons. Whenever this song comes on, the thing that I can taste is Marks and Spencer's. It was a chicken base. It was basically a pasty they used to do, because I worked at Marks and Spencer's, and whenever these were on offer at the end, I would just get that would be my staple diet for most of that year, just eating them cold, because I didn't actually have an oven. So I would get them from the shop, come back and go, eat them cold. And it's Peter Gabriel, Games Without Frontiers. And it's like, that isn't my music. I don't, like you're saying, it doesn't matter. It takes you back. You can taste. The other memory that came back when I played this was something I'd completely forgotten about the bed set, which my sister reminded me the other day. And then I played this song and suddenly I could visualize. I used to have a goldfish, but I kept it in my sink. I didn't ever have a container for it. And so I think it was always meant to be a temporary thing. So it was a goldfish.
How long did you have it in there for? How long did you
I
not
lived
wash
there 9
for?
months. I didn't wash for 9 months. Or I just washed around the goldfish.
You can't change his water. Just
it's covered in Colgate.
Drain it quickly, hold him, and then just fill it back up again.
Yeah, it's a goldfish called Datsun. And I kept it in my sink, and I hadn't realised until I played this song, and I can now picture him happily.
Datsun?
Yeah.
After what? Datsun Cherry?
Datsun Cherry.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
cool.
So yeah, and the song took me back there. So what's yours?
Lessons in Love by Level 42.
Okay.
But that one song, whenever it comes on, the first couple of it's just keys, isn't it? The first few bars of that, and it takes me back to when I was 9 or 10, and I went on my one of my first camping trips, really, not with school, not with Cubs or anything. It was with a mate, and his dad was a headmaster for an additional needs school. Yeah, and I didn't know that. They said, we'll pick you up in the minibus. And this minibus came, and I got in the minibus, and it was full of mentally and physically, what did I say? I don't know. Challenged. And it was new to me. Yeah. So it ended up kind of being a real eye-opener. But someone had, in those days, had a stereo in the back with them. And were playing, that was the song that was playing when I got in. Yeah. And it was all just totally overwhelming. That just stuck, and it takes me right back to that time. It's really weird, isn't it? I think, it is weird. And powerful. You discussing doing a top 100. And I didn't finish that for weeks or months because I couldn't find another 19 songs because I wasn't listening to music. So I found 81 and then I stopped. Yeah. I think the power of listening to music and for it to letting those emotions in is very powerful. And I guess when we're saying about the takeaway, it's almost like a shout out to people. If you're in that position where you're sort of avoiding emotions, something like your favorite song or something that takes you to either a special place or a special person, it's worth reinvesting in that. I've just found it hasn't necessarily made me happy, but it's made a connection with a part of my life that I was drifting away from. And I think even if it's sometimes negative or just overpowering, it doesn't have to be negative or positive. It can just be an emotive. It's a feeling, isn't it? Yeah, and I think on any given day, that feeling can be translated differently. Exactly. Yeah. So although you might think, that makes me feel anxious, the same thing might actually not make you feel anxious. Yeah. Or just unlock something else. Or make you feel, no, actually, it's okay, I can go there. Yeah. And like you said, it's okay just to poke the bear, isn't it, occasionally with music, which is exactly what it does. Yeah. Seamlessly onto top 100. Not wanting to be the anarchist and to undermine everything, I thought we haven't discussed this in great detail because we want it to be spontaneous, but you were sort of saying, we're going to have top 10 albums. And my first reaction, and this, I've got to stop doing this, was like, fuck that. No one tells me what to do. That's literally what I'm going to do my first 73 singles. And no, please don't. But I thought, we're sitting here now and I'm looking at your collection of CDs. Yeah. All nicely arranged. And get with the program, old man. CDs and are so 1990. I meant to ask you, is there they're not A to B, A to Z? Yeah, it's alphabetical. It's alphabetical. Yeah. Does that bothers you, doesn't it? No, mine are just in a pile at the bottom of a cupboard. This is the thing. Not even the CDs in the right, not even in the right container. You've been described as a serial ranker. Yeah. And then there's just some areas of your life which is just complete. It is anarchy, isn't it? It's complete disarray. That always surprises me. The things you have form and order about are the things I just never even
And you would have thought CDs would be the perfect one. I wouldn't feel comfortable with them.
So what about books? Books, anything the same? Would you order books by colour, by feel, by
size? Sometimes.
This book is sarcastic. I'm going to put it.
I'm going to put it next to irony.
Yeah, because it doesn't. The thing I know about you is it doesn't matter how you rank them. To me, it's often really random, but it's your own ranking. But they at least have an order.
Yes.
I would expect it not to be alphabetical or colour or size. I would expect it to be.
I would say actually books and CDs don't. Mugs will, but no, the obvious ones. Perhaps it's too obvious to rank books by alphabet. So I was just going to say I didn't want to undermine your top 10 albums, but it's just where are we sort of going?
So I can explain what the top 100 is, and we can talk about your top 100.
Do you want to just go on a recap? Because you mentioned the top 100
I can explain
podcast.
What it is.
Yeah.
So it started... explain what?
Damien is now going to explain what his top 100 records are.
No, I'm not. I'm going to explain what the format of the top 100 is, thanks.
Let's go.
Smart ass.
No, because the point I'm making is you mentioned it before.
Yes, I did.
And at work, people were doing it.
Yes.
We might have new listeners that don't know it's
Yes, I was going to recap, even for the people who've heard this before.
You're stroppy and never late at night, aren't you?
Yeah, I am actually. I made an effort for you tonight. I had a shower. I put some proper clothes on rather than because you work from home. You just sit there in your pants all day, don't you?
You put some proper clothes
on. My work
on.
colleagues are
You've got a wolf's top.
Yeah.
It's not making an effort, is it? It's hardly going to the Ivy.
I've put cologne on. I've put some Bentley on.
Okay.
Which I'm not actually sure is cologne. It's probably expensive engine oil or something. But it said Bentley on the bottle, so I thought it would be fancy.
Yeah.
Right, can I get back
I'm wearing Datsun Cherry.
Datsun Cherry.
Yeah.
Okay, so just very quickly explain what the top 100 is. It's your top 100 songs, and they have to all be from different artists. Immediately that sounds... Yes, we'll come to that in a minute, Mark.
Okay.
I've got a whole list. Which is actually quite difficult. So there's essentially 100 different artists.
Yeah.
I put one together, spent quite a while doing it and kind of refining it. And even I go back to it now and go, oh, actually, no. Or you hear a song and you go, oh, God, that didn't even make a hunt.
Yeah.
So it's quite fun in that sense. And it's a really good excuse to explore some of the stuff you probably, if you've liked music as a younger age or just got out of it or even not even been into it, it's quite good. It's just quite a fun exercise in these dark nights to go and explore. So let's just talk about your top 100. The moment while we're on that subject. You said you got to 81 and then you kind of said a minute ago you finished.
I think I've gone to 104, haven't I now?
Yeah, but I'm
not very good at taking orders.
So you've got so I think this is a bit of a clue as to the kind of artist you like, which is not a bad place to start.
Okay.
So you have 3 songs by Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
Killer's Moon, Villiers Terrace, I think there's another one.
Is it called The Cutter?
Could well be. You've got 2 songs by XXX Temptation.
Okay, so I looked this up. XXX Tension. It's meant to be a bit Spanish. I've done a bit of research on him.
Right.
Because he's dead now. That's not why I've done research, but it's really sad for me.
Okay. Do you want to go into that or should we leave the sadness be?
Let the
I'm sad that you've got 2 duplicates.
And you wouldn't like XXX Tension. No.
Is it repetitive and...
It's grimy.
Right.
And it's very sad. I think one of them's called Sad. And the other one's called
really sad.
The other one's called Fuck Love. So it's like, he's not a barrel of laughs.
I haven't even got to the themes of your... I've been going through your 100 just kind of, this is just absolute joy.
Yeah. Okay.
You got 2 songs by Red Light, Lost in Your Love and Get Out of My Head. I don't know who Red Light are.
Bristol artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a contemporary artist.
Get Out of My Head. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, I think I've heard of them.
You would know if you heard it, yeah. But it's a he. Yeah.
You've got 2 songs by The Clash, London Calling and Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
You're just enjoying this, but the whole theme of what I'm talking about is these are duplicates.
Yeah, so they're not loud.
No.
Okay.
You got 2 by Lane 8.
Yeah, big fan of Lane 8. There were 4 on my Spotify chart, which I'm not going to talk about.
Atlas and Brightest Lights. And then I know you like this guy because you've got...
27.
No, you got 2. You got 2 in jury songs as well.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to choose between Reasons to Be Cheerful Part 3 and Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. There's not much between them, is there? You've got some really difficult choices.
Yeah.
And some of my favourites from your... So you need to sort that out. So forget the 81. I think you've still got some work to do.
Okay. There's some cutting needed.
Yeah, a bit like this episode. Some of my favourite songs that you've got in there.
Okay.
It's really good. I put it on shuffle the other day when I was working.
Okay.
There's some challenging ones in there for me.
Right.
And there's some absolute bangers.
Yeah.
Some of my favourites, Sex Pistols, Pretty Vacant, I've got that in mind. The Ramones, you've chosen Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yeah, that could have been anything.
I mean, there's loads, isn't there? But I chose Would It Be Sedated?
Yeah. I sort of want Sheena as a punk rocker now. Can I change?
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this, you see. But one's got to go out if you want to put another one in. And this is a really great song. I listened to it earlier before it came on. But Different for Girls by Joe Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
It's mega, isn't it?
That's a bit like the Peter Gabriel one. Where does that sit? But it just does. That's time and place.
But talk about, if you put and I hope we'll put all the links up to these if anyone's interested at all. And if you hit shuffle on yours, you go all over the place. And it's
must have been quite a surprise to
you. But there are some themes we're talking about this week with training that you like repetition.
Yeah.
I think you like hand claps and cowbells.
Yeah.
And you like people talking, like
not singing.
Ian Jury's obviously a talker rather than a singer, isn't he? He sings a little bit, but
he's sort of a rapper when you look at it, isn't it? Social commentary.
I guess he is. Yeah, he's the kind of 80s Eminem, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you like kind of repetition, people talking. So either the vocal can be repetitious, or the melody.
Yeah.
Or some kind of really weird, annoying noise that just won't stop. But yeah, there's a real theme. And then you go from like Joe Armitrade into Sticky Little Fingers. And it's just like...
Sticky Little Fingers or Stiff Little Fingers?
Is it? I wrote Sticky. I'm doing my Anchorman. I'm just reading what I've written.
Yeah, no, Stiff Little Fingers. Stiff? And it's also Alternative Ulster, which is like as political as you can get. Yeah. Joan Armatrading was less political, I guess.
I'd known the Joan Armatrading track, but yeah, I'm going to say Sticky Little Fingers now. But that's good. I've not heard it. It's brilliant. So you don't have any top 10 albums necessarily, or any top 10s or top 5s?
I've done it because I wanted to comply.
You have?
Yes.
Right.
Except I've
been stalling.
I did 11.
Of course you did. You've done one more than me. Congratulations, you've won. Right. Let's have your top 10 albums then, please, Squire.
Okay.
You really surprised me. I wasn't expecting that.
To be honest, part of it I did because I thought you suggested something. It's not for me to undermine your suggestion and go, oh, no, I'm too precious. I'm too,
I don't take offense.
But it was a good idea. And we were going to have a music special of me to just go off kilter. I thought it was a good idea, but I'm still, we've said this before, quite often my first response, quite often, like you're saying with the sorry, is an apology or something negative or a diversion. And it was a good idea. I just didn't associate my musical taste with albums per se.
Yes.
When I then looked at the songs that meant something to me, I suddenly realised the album did mean something to me.
That's one of the things we wanted to bring up, wasn't it? That even now when people are putting albums together, they take a lot of time to consider the order, especially when it was vinyl and CDs.
Yeah.
I think I was talking this week to you about OK Computer and Tom York.
Yeah.
Went round with a mini disc with all the songs. I think there was more than on his mini disc than actually made the album. But he would just walk and constantly, because if you could do on the mini disc, then it was quite early on, wasn't it? In terms of you could move the tracks around, change the order very quickly, and he'd do that until he got it right. And that order was his perfect order. And of course now, very rarely, I think, people still will listen to that album in order, but most likely not.
I mean, shuffle's the way to go, isn't it? Now people wouldn't. The order wouldn't.
So, but in terms from an artist's point of view, they've spent a lot of time crafting that and taking a lot of consideration for us just to blatantly ignore. And of course, you're not thinking about albums because you are a proper playlist. You've probably been doing playlists a lot longer than I have. I'm not.
I was going to ask you, had you a cassette recorder? Because I've got a load of cassettes that have playlists on from the late 70s, and I'd love to.
Mark's mixtape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you used to record the radio?
Yeah.
And then
on a Philips.
And then if they kind of talked over it, you just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then start again.
And then it would start eating the tape, and you'd have to get a pencil in. And all that. Okay. We're losing some of the audience.
So do you want to start 11?
Your editing's going to have to be keen yet again. I'm going to mention the band, the album, and the track that took me to that album. And then...
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Well, no.
Okay. Okay, and
as long as there's not an anecdote in between each one as well.
I was going to say the anecdote is going to be one line.
Go on, give it go. Okay. Come on, if this is a 2-hour special, then so be it. Let's go. It's something that's close to our hearts. Go.
U2 wore Sunday.
Hold on, we're at number 11.
Oh, I haven't put them in order.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Top 10.
What do you normally do with top 10s and charts? Have you literally got a random top 10?
Yes. I couldn't
Who does that? You've literally shuffled your top 10 records of all time. Unbelievable.
8, 9, 10, 11, Yeah, there is a link.
I can't be alone.
You expect structure from me. You're not going to get it. Okay, U2
How do you live your life,
Sunday
honestly?
Bloody Sunday.
Yes.
Saw U2 quite a lot. Love them, hate them in equal measure.
Mm-hmm.
I set you a task. Did I see U2 in 1980 in
Did we not?
Carradine's Coffee House?
You did.
We never got to the bottom of it.
I did the research and found the gig.
Yeah, but it was very hard to find any details of the gig other than someone saying there was a gig that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, U2.
Yeah.
Elvis Costello, Armed Forces. Accidents will happen just because lyrically, probably, I think one of the most proficient and far-sighted and politically astute, thank you. Clash, London Calling. It was interesting when you were saying, when we were training, some people are going to chuck one into their top 10 or top 100 because you have to like certain things. And I think the Clash sort of come into
that. Have you thrown that one in because of that reason? Or just because...
No, none of these have, because these are too diverse. There isn't anything that's sort of, I totally...
But that is a great song.
Yeah. XXXTentacion, it's called 17, and the single from that was Fuck Love. Post Malone, love Post Malone. His one's called Beer Bongs and Bentleys. The Jam.
I can see why you like that. It's your life, isn't it?
Yeah, beer bong.
So you.
Well, less beer. The Jam, Sound Effects, and Start. Start to me that's going to be right up there as in terms of picturing a place when that song comes on. Ian Joey, New Boots and Panties. As you said, I put both tracks down.
Was that the name of the album?
New Boots and Panties.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. Ramones, Rocket to Russia. I think there's a whole podcast on my relationship with the Ramones and the
You've seen them
influence
lots,
on my
haven't
life.
you?
I saw them in 1977, which is like,
amazing.
There's the badge of honour, isn't it?
Yeah.
To go that you saw the Ramones on their second ever tour of the UK.
Yeah. Where did you see them?
It was called the Locarno now. It's the O2 in Bristol.
Right, okay.
So not a massive venue. It wasn't full then because they were it was right at the start of punk, really.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting reading a lot of stuff that basically Ramones were almost pre-punk. They almost, they almost set the standard that other people took on.
Yeah.
Both in terms of their look, which was... It was a rock look, but it became a punk look.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Tear Up Explodes, Kilimanjaro, Reward. That's probably top 5. Mm-hmm. Undertones, Hypnotized. Again, Undertones, you suddenly look and there's 10, 12, 15 songs that are all real quality. And then the final one, this might have to come top, is because the anecdote of this is going to be more than one line. So it's Bow Wow Wow, Your Cassette Pet.
All right.
C30, C60, C90 Go. Which is interesting.
Is that the net? That's the tape?
That's length. One of the songs on it. But the tape itself was a cardboard box with a cassette in it. And it's called Your Cassette Pet, right. Which I've still got because Bow Wow Wow were formed by Malcolm McLaren. And I think the lead singer was called something like Annabelle Lewin. And there was a big story. She's 15-year-old. He found her in a laundrette or somewhere and took her off and made her into a pop star or a rock star or a punk star. But it was sort of early 80s. It wasn't really punk. But it's just really interesting. She was on Top of the Pops. And one of the lyrics of one of the songs is where sex in the grass is absolutely free, but Top of the Pops made it change to snakes. Right. Snakes in the grass roam absolutely free, sort of.
You think where we've come, they banned that word, and look what we're talking about the last episode and what they're playing on the radio now. Yeah. I mean...
And also, I don't know if on your shuffle you came to X-Ray Specs with Germ-Free Adolescence, which was a Polystyrene, was the lead singer of X-Ray Specs. And one of her lyrics was also on Top of the Pops, and it was clean your teeth the SR way, SR being a type of toothpaste. And she had to change SR because of advertising on the BBC. And you think, I don't think most punks are like influenced on their toothpaste taste by someone who didn't have many teeth. So Bow Wow Wow were very much my last vestige because I continued being a punk way beyond the time when it was still a thing, really. So when Bow Wow Wow came, I used to have a very large, oversized coat, and in gloss paint, I wrote Bow Wow Wow in massive letters on the back. What a fucking state.
That's amazing. Please say you got some photos of that.
No.
Oh.
I've only got one photo, I think, of me from that time. You didn't take photos then, people, did they? Not so much.
That was 1980.
Bow Wow Wow.
That album.
Oh, was it? Okay, I think they went on, the hits were more sort of 81, 82. I would have thought that was their first.
That was good. I wasn't expecting that.
Are you doing the same?
Yeah, I've got mine here.
Okay.
My top 10.
I didn't know many of your bands.
What, in my Well, in my
top 100.
Oh, my top 100. Any other comments on my top 100?
No. It wasn't a judgment. It was like just, new stuff to me.
What you thought. I've got plenty to say about yours.
And I think it goes back. We had this discussion.
I love talking about it, and I talk about everyone's loves and hates and why they like it, why they don't, all day long.
Yeah.
I think the core of yours is probably late 70s, 80s, with a smattering of like 90s dance, and even kind of modern day grime stuff, isn't it?
There's a big gap, isn't there? There's
that's what's 90s, so fun about
2000s.
yours. But you go into mine, and you've got some kind of soul stuff in there, some 50s and 60s.
Yeah, some northern stuff. Soul and stuff.
Yeah, and like mine, but other than that, mine is pretty much 90s.
Yeah.
Number 10, Grey Will Fade by Charlotte Hatherley.
Mark looks blank. Next.
Number 9, Shangri-La by Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
Used to be in a decent band.
Yeah, I thought they were dire, but...
Woo. Number 8 is California by Blink-182.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 is Verses by Pearl Jam.
Mm-hmm.
Some people I know who know me, may listen to this or not, will probably shout at me that an album like that is number 7 in my list. But
okay.
Hey, the net 6 and 5 are to the same artist. I've got 6 Replenished by Reef, and 5 is Glow by Reef.
Just
what?
After all the stick,
I can name a top 10. I can have the same. It's not my top 100.
Okay, so you only have Reef,
top 10.
and you won top 100 once, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 4th place. I got Godfather by Ned's Atomic Dustbin. And Ned's are probably one of my favourite bands, but they haven't made it into the number 1 in terms of album.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a Midland band.
Okay.
From Stourbridge. Number 3 is Dookie by Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 is Insomniac by Green Day. You can see where my talking about the 90s. And my number 1, and it's been my number 1 for years. And I don't think anything's going to knock it off. I have it here in front of me.
In hard copy.
Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Which I think is, for so many reasons, the best thing ever committed to a tape.
I think reading through those now, I think we had a discussion when I was saying one of the things from the mindfulness about this thing about wise mind, about the dissonance between your logical mind and your emotional mind. And I'm sort of realizing that the emotional mind has probably ruled my life for about the last 40 years. And the logical mind has got very little bit of a look in. And I think looking at my music, when I did the top 10 albums, those were ones where I could picture the gig, or I could picture where I was mentally, or I could picture where I was in terms of maybe transition points in my life.
Yeah.
Whereas quite often when you're talking about it, you're talking about musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
You just said about that album there, that was about how it was put together and the standard and that. And I think that's maybe...
I could talk another 10, 20 minutes on the drum sound, the drum production on that album.
Well, when you're pointing out about what I'm listening to, and I'm thinking, I hadn't even realised. So I think you're seeing it from a musicianship, and it's purely voting with my heart, which is maybe not surprising. After 27 and a half podcasts, I think we know. You could have, if you showed the playlist to everyone who's listening, I think they'd know.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I think it's the beauty of it. I mean, going back to your takeaway, you don't have to be a mad muso to find this enjoyable. If you just like music and, either want to kill some time or have a conversation with someone about it, or pick up old conversations with someone about music. It doesn't really matter what it's about, whether you like it, hate it, love the production of it, something listen to. We haven't even got into who listens to lyrics and who listens to melodies. I don't listen to lyrics.
Yeah.
Because loads of people go, listen to this song. It's about, I'm like, I don't even know.
Whereas that's all I
wouldn't even know what to sing. Yeah, I don't. The vocals for me are total melody and rhythm.
I just wanted to pick up on two things. You said you don't know how it's going to feel. And my reply was going to that is, but it will make you feel.
Yes.
And I think that's key. Really and you're almost talking to the converted, and I owe you a big vote of thanks. I was in a complete desert in terms, music has been such a major part of my life. Mm-hmm. And by excluding it, I was continuing to exclude it for maybe a number of reasons, maybe no reasons, but it was excluded out of my life. And you talking about the 100 and me thinking back about why things raise emotions, or looking at points in my life that music has been a bookmark for, has meant a lot. And I was thinking, we were talking a couple of podcasts ago about social engagement, and this has started a conversation. And in a minute, I'm going to read something from my WhatsApp about a conversation that music started. And so my shout out on this is put your toe in the water I've got a feeling that there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this and go, maybe I should listen to music, who aren't engaging with it, or aren't getting the feeling and the emotion they should be. It becomes wallpaper. I was going to put a quote, which I think is mine, but someone else has probably said it.
Standard.
Standard. I'm not scared of death. I'm scared of not living.
Definitely not yours.
Is it not?
I think I'll bet the farm on that.
Yeah, I did think someone else might have got there.
Sorry.
But the thing is, I don't know who else said it, so...
So it's yours.
Yes.
Until someone else wrestles it back off you.
But the point I was making is that that's what music had done, is that if you start excluding things that are part of living, then life becomes less meaningful.
Amen, sister.
Amen Corner.
What?
Do you know who Amen Corner are?
Isn't it whole 10, 11 and 12 of Augusta? You don't know.
But it's a musical group, that's why I said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Welsh rock group formed in late 1966 in Cardiff, whose album is Farewell to the Real Magnificent Seven. One of my top 100 was the Magnificent Seven. Spooky coincidence number 2 of the day. You don't really get my spooky coincidences. I'm expecting you to be flabbergasted.
Nah.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I've led a kind of very spooky life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot to kind of get me going.
Just hot water bottles.
11th, 12th, 13th holes of Augusta National. All those golfers, those golfists out there. So we're in brain food. Got to crack on. Music and moods. So some people can listen to music and some people can't. We're talking about that. But for people who enjoy music, activity in the brain's auditory and reward regions is closely coupled. And for them, hearing a song resulted in joy and pleasure. But in the brains of people with specific musical anhedonia, I've got it here. Anhedonia. So those with musical anhedonia is a neurological condition involving an individual's incapacity to enjoy listening to music. Recent empirical research suggests that 3 to 5% of the population are affected by it. Researchers found that the auditory and reward regions of the brain simply didn't react in response to music as a control to make sure that musical anhedonics responded to other stimuli. Researchers also had participants play a gambling game and found that winning money activated the brain's reward system just fine. So they proved that music just did absolutely nothing for them.
Yeah.
That was just a slightly different take on just doesn't, because some people just go, no, not.
Yeah, not first.
Yeah. And it doesn't, it's like people who go, oh, no, not interested.
What music do you like? I'll listen to anything.
Yeah. And I don't get that. It's people that go, oh, it's just a car. It gets me from A to...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's not just a car. They don't even care. They don't care what colour it is. They don't care what it looks like. They don't care how it drives. It's that, isn't it? Which is fair enough. Each their own. But something that's so emotionally engaging for us is difficult to understand.
Linked to that, because dopamine's been a constant source for us. And obviously music does have a big effect on dopamine production. But it's released from two parts of the brain. One is the peak emotional arousal, which is like, they've called, this is from examine.com again, which they call the best part, and from something called caudate, which is another organ in the brain, during periods of anticipation for the peak emotional arousal. And we discussed this with baking the cookies.
Yeah.
The way I read this was almost the arousal was, like we said with the baking of the cookies, this is starting off a music or knowing something's coming on or hearing the first few bars. And quite often the best part will be the rousing chorus or the drop or the... So one of my ones on top 100 was Tiesto Adagio for strings, and which was like an Ibiza classic back in the day. And that's my funeral.
Very funerally, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
I was going to say, I can't wait for your funeral, but that's an awful thing to say.
Bring your glow sticks. And then everyone down onto the beach at 6 in the morning afterwards.
Oh, was it in Ibiza? Mint.
No, but that is my funeral.
King of the drop, isn't it?
Everyone
knows it's coming. It's the best bit, isn't it?
Yeah. And so there was that is the best bit for the dopamine. That's the absolute rush, but the anticipation, that's the whole thing about a drop, I guess. And that's another feature, I think, of my music. There's an awful lot of leading you up and then explosion. Obviously, dopamine can potentially reduce blood pressure, although we see it as a stimulant. And so, it's common sense, isn't it? There's some music that's soothing, full stop. I don't think, there's stuff around musical therapy. I don't think that's sort of rocket science we're taking.
You talk about soothing. I've got a thing here that says study shows that music can trigger the brain to release chemicals that distract the body from pain.
Yes. Which
I never knew.
Well, music and pain relief, that was number 3 on my...
Okay. What does yours say?
The intensity of pain experienced. Yeah, definitely. There's loads of research on that. We touched on it with exercise. Just before we go back to exercise very, very quickly, music and addiction. This was really interesting. The research I read on this, that it has the potential to augment already addictive behaviours via association. So this result can be either positive or detrimental depending on the context. And I thought that was interesting. And that almost goes back to what we were saying, that you can listen to a song and it can take you either ends of the spectrum depending on a number of things. And I think that's the same with addiction. I certainly think that sometimes you associate time and place with music, and that takes you back to where you were in that time and place. Yeah. And if that was an addictive period...
That's powerful. It's to remind you of something, but even like our theme tune does it, over time, it becomes synonymous with that thing.
Yes.
So even you watch something, even adverts or the same kind of product all the time, but the music stays the same. Yeah. There's a reason for that, isn't there? So you associate that music. Even sometimes you listen to a song and you just immediately think of the product. Yeah. So association's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
How it sticks.
I think maybe the music with exercise is probably, again, another bookmark for another day, because we have touched on it.
Yeah, we kind of talked about music on my bike. Listening to music actually kind of can help. There's stuff around music after a workout can help the body recover faster. Yeah. There's just an absolute handful of stuff where music is involved.
Some of the artists I mentioned there, like Post Malone and Triple X, Triple X especially is very much based on the most morbid and sad and dissociation and all those sort of emotions. And so the way that I was using his music and other mostly grime artists' music was, if I'm low, to take me lower. So if I'm sad, I listen to sad music.
It's kind of a cliche, isn't it?
Okay, go on.
No, I'm not.
No.
I just think in films, the blues, you see it in all films that they're sad, something's happened, there's been a breakup, someone's died, they go into a little dive bar and low light, smashing the whiskies back.
But it's also counterintuitive in some ways.
Yeah,
that's
why I say it's cliche, because you think, I'm going to go and wallow in my own sadness by listening to sad songs. Yeah, that was I wasn't belittling.
But I think
actually something that can help you.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. I don't think which I'll probably come on to in a minute, but there's an exception to that.
I don't think this was a solution.
No.
But this has been something we've touched on quite a few times, and I've often used that hate isn't the opposite of love, indifference is. And indifference is also the opposite of pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure are bedfellows. The emotion that one can get from pain can be equally as emotive and strong and rewarding as pleasure. Yeah, totally.
I think some of our very early discussions was about melancholia, wasn't it? And feeling down. And actually we both shared that thing where we actually kind of like being there sometimes.
Totally.
We also know that it can be detrimental to people around us and to our own health sometimes. But sometimes we find solace in those areas or those moods, don't we? Yeah. In those emotions.
Yeah. The deepest melancholia can still be more rewarding than feeling nothing.
Yeah, and it's not everyone piss off, I'm feeling miserable. It's just, because I'm all right here, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this. I'm having a little on my back and I'm just paddling through my own self-pity. Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's treading water with no land in sight.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm happy to tread water.
I'm all right here for a bit.
With the sharks circling.
And on that, the music you would be listening to would be what? So you're on your back, you got your headphones, you got your little swimming hat on.
What if
you're wallowing in the sea of self-pity, right?
Oh, well, all the stuff I mentioned then, like Triple X and Post Malone. And
you have the dark stuff, right?
Yeah, Pop Smoke, anything that is basically a giant highlighter pen for everything I'm feeling. And hearing some guy in America.
Would you ever go for the upbeat stuff? Because you've got some loads of upbeat stuff. I mean, some of the upbeat stuff has probably dark. That's the other thing I've just realised about some of your songs. They're quite upbeat in their musical sound.
But they can be massively destructive in their
But they're kind
message.
of quite,
The very little bit of work I did do at university was around, that I found really interesting, was the Romantic poets. And the Romantic poets seem to also have this sort of debauched lifestyle of drugs and then writing the most beautiful poetry. So they were a complete dichotomy. And I think that's with some of my musical tastes, that you jump around in a mosh pit to it. And it's like, if you listen to the lyrics or the story behind it, it's probably of sadness and desperation rather than the emotions that you're actively doing in a physical sense in the way you're dancing. There is some music that is just feel good, isn't it? But I think the difference that we had is that when I was saying if I'm not at my best, then I use the music to take me lower. Yours was a slightly different feel, wasn't it, in terms of the music that you would turn to?
I won't listen to anything that will make me feel sad.
Yeah.
Or more unhappy than I already am.
Yeah.
I will generally listen to the same stuff, no matter how I'm feeling. If I'm up, I'll listen to most of my top 100. If I'm low, there are certain songs in there, even my top 10 albums. So the first song off Insomniac, Armitage Shanks, I will put that on, and I know whatever mood I know that'll take me.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
But generally, if I want to relax, I will listen to the heaviest stuff I've probably got. So I don't listen to laid back music to relax.
I don't think I've ever listened to a track to relax. The only one I've got is Joe Nama Trading, and that's just because it takes me to a certain place back in my teens. But I don't think I listen to music to relax. I listen it to either get high or to get low. I don't think I'd listen to something because it just made me...
Does it not? Yeah, mine literally will.
I can't think of anything.
Like a hot bath, that feeling of just...
I don't have baths. Maybe that's it.
That's from your uni days. It's Datson's fault, isn't it? You got an aversion to...
Sharing a sink with a goldfish.
Yeah. It'd be nice to know what other people think and do, isn't it? If only they wrote in and told us what these... I think it's a really fascinating one. Right, shall I move things on?
Yeah.
I think that was a nice kind of way to end that one.
I think that was good.
Yeah. Bulging mailbag. Do you have a bulging bag? We haven't talked about your bulging bag for a while. How is your bulging bag?
We haven't talked much about your constant need for innuendo.
No. A chance to... We got kind of serious talking about music.
I was going to say, whenever you want an anecdote, I go, I've got this WhatsApp group. And you're going...
The apathetic WhatsApp group.
You're going, you haven't. It doesn't exist.
How are they? Are they all right on there?
They're hanging on in there. So the latest update from the group was...
maybe I should just come in and ruffle it up a bit. What do you think?
Your name's not down. You're not coming in.
Can I just make a guest appearance?
I'll ask them.
Give everyone a bit of flannel and do one.
Well, they both listen, so they're probably bigger fans of you than me. So yeah,
that's basically what I was getting at.
Just make your own group.
Ooh,
I'll motivate you. Very, very briefly, because I know we've been here
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah. Bedtime.
This is the group where we've done all the 10,000s in the happy days of lockdown 1. We've set the 5,000 steps in the sad days of lockdown 2. But obviously everything's going to be all right now.
Very good. You did that earlier. You went, I got a feeling. I was going to go, ooh. I should have done it, shouldn't I? Too late now, sorry.
Yeah. Basically, we had this 5,000 steps minimum, and I've found on days when it's been a bit tricky to do it, it's literally because there's a group there. I mean, on 4,200 steps, it doesn't matter whether I do 4,200 or 5,000, but it does when there's other people wanting you to do it. So that bit that we've said about accountability and wanting to do things for other people and social engagement, which we keep sort of going on about, and I think we've got to keep these social engagements. And you and I know when we tried to do it with one of our groups, it wasn't an overriding success in terms of engagement. Maybe
I even tried to help that along.
Yeah. So anyway, what happened with the group last night was one person in the group had got near to 10,000 and said, if I do a bit of dancing, I can get to 10,000. It wasn't going to be a 10,000 day, but and one of the others said, I might need to do a little bit to get to 5,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what happened was we started sharing. It was like, well, if I'm going to dance in my kitchen, you guys can.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we were going, try this. And
what song?
Trying songs, yeah. Try this, try
sending songs
this
to
on.
each other.
Yeah. And I sent one which was by Santana, and it was a little bit... You've got a problem with Santana, haven't you?
No.
I only did it because it was a little bit, to me, it was a little bit sort of late night in Havana type, you know. It was a sort of, it's the sort of thing you'd want to be dancing at 11 rather than Kylie.
Yeah, go on.
And the person came back and basically went, "What the fuck's this shit?"
Pretty much the response you would have got from me.
Got from you, yeah. That's why you're welcome to the group. And Santana isn't one of my bands, and it isn't something that I'm, you know, a big, but it just seemed fitting for that time of night. And then the person went back, "I've never heard this in my life." And then was, "Well, it isn't so bad as I thought." And yet again, it's just that little bit of sharing. It's a bit...
Was it Oi Como Va?
Oh, Como Va, yeah.
Right.
And
have it in your top 100.
Yeah, it's a bit Latin. It's a bit... The only reason Santana's in my top 100, at school, everybody smoked Marlboro.
Right.
So I used to go around, you know, I was quite an entrepreneur. So I used to go around collecting the fag packets because they had if you send in like 200 Marlboro, like the Bazooka Joe comics.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that was the first free album I got from other people's cigarettes.
When I got the packets off the people and said, or just, you know.
No, I just went around collecting them all and everyone would give me their packets and everybody smoked Marlboro because they were cool. And I just got quite a big LP selection from other people's smoking habits.
Very good.
So that's the only reason it's on there, yeah. So again, it's an emotional...
It's good. So music got everybody chatting.
Yeah.
Got some social engagement going.
Got the steps up.
And it got people moving.
Yeah. So and it was a proper conversation, whereas quite often it would be, "How are you doing? I've done 5,000 steps, go you." But it was suddenly, "How about this? How about..." And then people were sharing playlists.
That's awesome. Because also all the stuff we tend to talk about, every kind of hangout, this is one of my gripes, everyone calls a video conference now a Zoom.
Yeah.
Whether you're on Zoom, Slack, Hangouts, Skype, everything Zoom, have a Zoom call.
Skype must cry every day, mustn't they?
It's become a verb, isn't it? It's become a verb now.
Yeah.
Oh, it pisses me right off. I almost said it. It's getting into everyone's vocab, isn't it? Pretty much every discussion is about vaccine, is about COVID, lockdown. Why don't we just have a chat about music?
Yeah.
So much more engaging and exciting and fun. Fun. There we are.
Yeah.
Remember that word?
Fun fact.
Remember when we all had fun?
Why is Henry the Hoover?
What?
Hoover's a brand. It's a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Henry
but
the
we
vacuum.
call it Henry the Hoover. Like, that's the worst tautology because Henry...
Vernon.
Well, Henry isn't a Hoover. They're two different brands. That's ridiculous. But we call it...
You just thought about that?
Hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a bit like your Zoom, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Something has become something that it isn't.
Yeah, we work with a vacuum brand, as you know.
Yeah.
And we had to get out of the habit of calling it Hoover quick smart. Yes, I can tell you that much. So yes, takeaway, listen to some music, have a chat about some music.
Make a playlist.
Yeah. Maybe call up some people.
And talk about it.
Or wind up some people you haven't wound up for a while.
Yeah.
In a nice way. I mean, engaging. Winding up can be banter, can't it? A bit of friendly roasting. That's always fun.
Do you think if we ask for people to send in their top 100s, we'll get a bulging mailbag?
I think we'll get absolutely nothing.
You know, I was a mountain today.
Sorry, I just what?
Tiesto. Calm down, I'm not dead yet.
I was packing my bags for Ibiza. Oh, it's good. That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far and thanks for listening. All links and references will be in our show notes, including links to our top 100.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome. Please make sure you subscribe to us via your favourite podcasting app. And if you're enjoying this pod, then please do tell someone. And if you're feeling particularly saucy and generous, the saucy bit's not necessary, but if you're feeling saucy, why not give us a 5-star rating and or review?
Like Stephen, bless him. I liked his review.
Steve, yeah, he did do a nice
Thank you for that, Stephen.
Yeah, I totally forgot to say thanks. I read that.
No, I hadn't. It's on my notes.
Very good. Yeah, Apple, go and tell everyone how amazing we are. We'd be very grateful indeed. Give us a follow on Instagram at I'mFinecast and send us your feedback and questions via our email, please. Just someone send us an email.
Just one.
In the next episode, we hit our 30th episode.
Okay.
It's quite a lot in 3 months, yeah. Have we done anything else but this? Feels like we haven't. So we're going to do a nice little roundup. A roundup of all the inane shit that we've been spouting.
Okay.
For the last...
a look back?
1,600 minutes now. 1,601. Sorry, what do you say?
The Whizzer and Chips Bumper Summer Annual.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's right on demographic, isn't it? But that's it for now. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for your patience.